This conference will now be recorded.
Here we go. So good evening. Thank you all for waiting for a few minutes. Seeing that we have a quorum, I will call the City of Menasha Common Council meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have the roll, please?
Alderman Ted Grady.
Here.
Alderman Rapella.
Here.
Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Taylor. Alderman Stefanik.
Here.
Alderman Langdon.
Here.
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Here.
All are present with the absence of Alderman Taylor.
And Alderman Taylor just called me. He is ill tonight. Item D is a temporary suspension of the rules. Do we have a motion? Alderman Stefanik?
Thank you. At this time, I'll move that we temporarily suspend the rules of the Common Council and the mayor's meeting so that we can use our electronic devices for this TelWeb conference.
Is there a second? So motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item E is a public hearing for a special use permit at 460 Anop Street. Director Schrader, did you want to share with us about this project?
I would love to. So this is a special use permit for 460 Anop Street, as noted on the agenda. This is the remainder of the Bonta property. So again, for the Racine Street Bridge project, a majority of that building did get torn down by the DOT. Did leave a remainder portion of the building. Again, this building and property is currently owned by our redevelopment authority. So this past fall and summer, I guess, the developer had submitted a proposal for the redevelopment of the remainder portion of that building. The RDA locked into a development agreement with that developer this past fall. And at this stage, they're just bringing forward kind of their plans. So again, the site plans, CSM and special use all did go through the City Plan Commission at the previous Plan Commission meeting on February 2nd. At that time, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of all of these items. Regarding the special use permit, so within the C2 business district, so again, this property was rezoned to C2 a few years ago with the acquisition. Within the C2 business district, a special use permit is required for primarily multifamily use on this property. So again, the proposed use on this property is 34 market rate apartment units with indoor parking, surface parking, as well as roughly 3,000 square feet of commercial space. So in front of the Common Council today, per ordinance and state statute, a special use permit does require a public hearing as well as both Plan Commission and Common Council approval. So again, the Plan Commission did review this at their previous meeting and did recommend approval, seeing no issues with the criteria or the project.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item?
Yes, Sandra DeBill Taylor, 545 Broad Street. I apologize to those who were at the Plan Commission meeting, but I am going to repeat what I had mentioned at that time. I am petitioning that this public hearing is in violation because it does not meet the state statutes for notification. I brought this up at the Plan Commission meeting. Per our ordinance, an informal public hearing requires that a Class 1 notice shall be published in the official city newspaper at least 7 days prior to the informal public hearing. At that time, that notice was published January 30th. The day of publication was not calculation. I'm sorry. someone talking?
Caller 2, turn off your mic.
That's caller 2, Paula. Turn off your mic.
Thank you. It was published January 30th. The 30th does not count per state statutes, the day of publication, but the day of the hearing does count. That left 3 days notice prior to the informal public hearing. Therefore, that hearing was in violation of the city code and state statutes and should not have taken place. Thus far, it did go forward, and it now appears before you tonight. And today's public hearing was also in violation. It requires, per state statute, and a week is defined as 7 days. A notice be published in the newspaper 2 consecutive weeks prior to the date of the hearing. This was published February 6th and February 8th. There were 2 days between the first and second publication. Again, this is another violation. This has been an ongoing event with the city of Menasha. I am not here against this special use permit. I'm against the policy and why the city of Menasha, unlike every other community in the valley, I have cut out public hearing notices from Fox Crossing, Greenville, Hortonville, City of Appleton, you name it. Everyone does 2 weeks of 7 days apart before they notify it. The sole purpose of a public hearing is to gauge public comment prior to making a decision. The Plan Commission had not met for 4 months. This was officially rezoned 2 years ago. The project has been in the works for years, and yet they couldn't take the time to publish it correctly. They had to rush it through. Why, I do not know, because the agreement was postponed another month or so at the RDA meeting. So we continue to do this. It's very unfortunate in this day and age that we do no longer have a local reporter that covers Menasha events. The Post Crescent is pretty much non-existent. The only method for people to know about anything is social media. The city could be posting these on their website every public hearing for anyone that wants to know about it, but they failed to do that. They could at least abide by the state statutes. They forget to do that. They want to have this rubber stamped and have staff and administration decide the route of the future. So I'm saying that this public hearing should not go forward, but as in days past, they always go forward. And with that said, I want to also say that this is putting the cart before the horse. This property was rezoned from industrial to C2 2 years ago. And they knew at that time they were looking at a housing development. It should have been zoned PUD, but it wasn't. Now they're looking for a special use permit to zone it to C2 to allow, or a special use permit to allow multifamily. This special use permit encompasses the entire area. After this is approved, they will then come forward with a CSM to narrow it down to the building. And then after that, they will come forward with an amendment to make the agreement that is currently made out to YBR Properties match what's on the public hearing for the special use permit made to Mach 4 Engineering on behalf of the developer Bonta One LLC. So we have all kinds of inconsistencies here, and they've had ample opportunity to do it right, and they continue to do it wrong. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Paul Muck with Nia Menasha Wastewater, but is this the right place to comment on a different issue?
No, you'd have that opportunity after the minutes and communications.
Sure.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we'll call the public hearing to a close, and we'll move on to the report of department head, staff, and consultants. We have Martin Rudd here this evening from UWO Fox Cities to talk to us a little bit about what's happening on campus, and I'll leave it to you, Martin.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all again. Martin Rudd, I'm the Assistant Chancellor for the Access Campuses. I oversee the UWO Fox Cities campus for the Chancellor's Office of UW Oshkosh, and I'm joined here tonight by Jessica Peterson. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself, please? Oh, you're on mute.
Need to turn your mic on.
You'd think after my 10th call today, I would be a pro, but I apologize. My name is Jessica Peterson. I am the Regional Vice President with BMOC, and I'm the property supervisor for Fox Village Apartments, so student housing in Menasha.
Thank you, Jessica. So we wanted just to give you a quick update on what's been going on with the housing property on Midway Road. You may remember some years ago, you approved the development of that site for student housing for what was then UW Fox Valley. And that facility has been open for several years, most recently under the management of BMOC. And Jessica will talk a little bit about the relationship that BMOC has with the university. So the housing has been created in two phases so far. There are effectively two phases that have been built with about 110 beds available for students. We have had several years of success of recruiting students to come and live in the housing. And BMOC has also used the property for other types of accommodations as well, and Jessica can talk about the plans that they've had with that. Most recently, we've found great success in the Fox Village housing, supporting our international student recruitment program. So about 4 years ago, the then UW colleges, the two-year system of colleges in Wisconsin, started working with a group called King's Education, who are based out of London and Los Angeles, on international student recruitment. The University of Wisconsin system has very surprisingly low tuition rates for students, even to attend Madison, especially international students. And the pathway of using the two-year campuses to transfer to Madison or to any of the other comprehensive campuses is a particularly attractive one, especially now that there's a rising middle class in Asia who are able to afford to send their children overseas to be educated by in this case, University of Wisconsin.
Caller 3, turn your mic off.
A common occurrence, I know. So we entered into a partnership with King's Education to recruit international students for to the then UW Fox Valley campus. Since we joined with UW Oshkosh in the 2017-18 academic year, we've enjoyed extended success with that. UW Oshkosh, through the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin, has created a new contract for 7 years that enables King's to recruit for all three campuses of UW Oshkosh, the Fox Cities campus, the Oshkosh campus, and the Fond du Lac campus. And so prior to COVID, we had an enrollment management plan to continue to grow the number of international students on our campuses, and we expected to restart that for the fall of 2021 as international students are able to resume their ability to come to the US, not only because of friendlier administrative policies from the US government, but also the easing of COVID restrictions on travel. So in the fall of 2019, we had nearly 170 international students on the Fox Cities campus in a couple of different programs, students who are beginning their associate's degree to complete the Associate of Arts and Science degree and then looking to transfer. And then also students who are in a preparatory English program, students who come to the US in order to improve their English language skills so that they can get into a program. And our partnership with BMOC and the Fox Village Housing has been particularly important in helping create a home away from home for these international students. As with any public-private partnership, it's been challenged on lots of different levels, not only during the pandemic, but also in the joining with UW Oshkosh as well, because prior to the joining with UW Oshkosh, the relationships were between the BMOC and the campus directly. Now that we are part of UW Oshkosh, they of course have plenty of student housing, a lot of residence halls, and a whole system of dealing with housing. Except for them, having private housing on their campuses is something new. And so we've had to work around types of things such as how to train Jessica's staff, who are actually Jessica's staff, not university employees, on some of the practices and principles associated with university housing. Rob Babcock, who is the Director of Housing on the Oshkosh campus, actually oversees all of the housing, including the Fox Village and the View Campus housing on the Fond du Lac campus. But again, we have to put some boundaries on the relationship that we have between a private entity, Jessica's BMOC, and the university. So we continue to explore that. We've done a lot of great things. Jessica's here to talk a little bit more about what's going on actually at the housing itself and what she sees for the future of it. But I also just want to point out and say thank you to the board, to this board, who helped approve the housing all those years ago. It's been a great success for then UW Fox Valley and for UWO Fox Cities in helping us recruit students, not only international students, but also students. The purpose to allow them to live away from home, close to the campus, and enjoy the affordable tuition that is at the Fox campus. So Jessica, I'll turn it over to you for any comments you'd like to make about the MOC and the relationship you have with us.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Thank you again to the board. It was prior to my coming on to board with BMOC that this project was developed, approved, but we've shared a lot of success. We have a great working relationship with a lot of the technical schools. It's a very unique position that we have in that we're asked very often to provide third-party management for technical school student housing. And so we've been very successful in growing those relationships through, again, a close-knit relationship of sharing information. You know, we're doing joint programming. We're training our resident assistants that are living on site to understand and be accountable and a part of the student life programming and just the support that students need. So it's just a different aspect than just, you know, truly a younger or just an apartment building complex. So we definitely provide a lot of support for students and have been, like I said, very successful. COVID was a really tough year, and we're really hopeful that the King students are able to, you know, travel again this fall in the numbers that they've been in before. We find it to be a really unique and wonderful property, just with a lot of different cultures and people that, you know, are coming and are really enjoying their experience living with, you know, other, domestic students in their apartment and sharing that English speaking time. So it's just been a really good experience for them.
I'd like to add a little anecdote. Tim Obanya used to be the international student director for the UW colleges. And excuse me, a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago, he came to the property, the Fox Village housing, and he went up to the he was not a believer that the Fox Valley campus would become a center to attract international students to come to it. And he went up to the second floor of the facility and he looked around and he said, "This is the place I believe that international students will want to come." And I said to him when he came downstairs, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Well, when I went up to the second floor, I could see everything that international students would probably want to do. They can walk to get food, they can walk to get groceries, they can walk to the campus, they can walk to amusements, and they're right on public transit lines." And while not all of those have been true, because we have found a lot of our international students choose to buy cars when they get here, some of that has been true. And so we've sort of used that to our advantage, and by far the Fox Cities campus has become the largest of the former UW colleges campuses with its international student population. We have boomed, and housing has been a good part of that. You know, there may only be 40 or so international students actually in the US at the moment because the others were not able to travel back from their home countries for this this current academic year. But we do feel that they will be back. You know, part of what Jessica said is about the relationship between private housing and the public university and sharing of information where possible. Student conduct is a highly regulated industry, as are the types of things that happen within the walls at BMOC, at the Fox Village housing as well. And so to the extent allowed by law, we do share information about how students are doing, how students are progressing in particular. Their academics are important to all of us. And ultimately, any conduct issues that they have are handled by the university through information sharing where possible. But all of that takes training of the staff, and in some cases, the resident assistants have been students at the housing themselves, and they're ready to take the next step and sort of have some responsibilities. I think many of you may know that when we first opened the housing, we had some issues there. We had the police there a little more than we wanted, and I talked with you about that at the time. But all of those things settle down in due course, and it comes with the management that we have, the types of expectations that we have of the students. The fact that this is not an apartment complex for non-students, this is only for students who are there. Jessica, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about some of the activities that you do out of the academic year to use that property.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we're specifically related to internships?
Yeah, and EAA potential and things like that.
Yes, exactly. So we do target local businesses to facilitate housing for short-term or mid-term internships. So their employees and their student employees can all live together and work together in one place, able to attract talent from other locations. And again, because they're able to provide a housing that's right on campus, that's definitely a benefit. We also have a lot of activities in the summer when there's not classes going on. We're doing a lot of just programming with the students to make sure that they're able to connect and build relationships and be a part of the community. So it is not just idle time, and they're able to, again, have a really enriching experience with education and sharing of information. So.
Jessica mentioned earlier about the technical colleges as well, because BMOC manages the Tech Village at the Fox Valley Technical College campus. And in fact, last year we had so many international students, we actually had to split them between our Fox Village and our Tech Village sites, and we were actually using ground transportation, almost like a contracted Uber service, to bring the students from the Tech Village to the UWO Fox Cities campus, because we were literally at overflowing capacity with those international students. So I would like to find out if you have any questions for Jessica or I about the Fox Village housing. I see Nan's on the call as well. We've also had plenty of time to talk with public health as well about the COVID situation in the housing. Naturally, with international students, there's been some scares. They are probably a little more vigilant about the illnesses and potential exposure than some of our domestic students have been. So we've had to do some calming down once in a while. There haven't been any serious quarantine situations that we've had to deal with over there, and thanks to Nan and her team, we've had plenty of information that we've been able to give out to students as well.
Thanks, Martin.
I think most of the information you gave us today, we already knew all those things. The only question I have is, are you looking to expand if things are so expansive for some, with the international community? I know I was around when we did the original project. I think Alderman Langdon, maybe Alderman Nichols also. There was always supposed to be another phase which never appeared. So could you address that?
Actually, I don't think we can, because neither I nor BMOC are associated with the developers.
Okay.
That would be a
Basically,
different.
What I'm saying is potentially there was supposed to be another building. So.
Yep, and from time to time we hear about that. I can't speak for the developers. I would say we would probably need to restabilize after COVID in order for those discussions to sort of come alive again. The capacity of the housing has been around 40% for this academic year, and typically it's been full because Kings have been able to purchase, effectively contract to have a certain number of beds there. Well, the students were all abroad, so they were not able to get back here for that. But yeah,
right.
Dan, you remember right, that is part of the plan, I believe.
Thank you. I do like the setup. We did provide the sidewalks. I know that there's a kind of a walkway trail to the campus and that, so it's very nice. I'm also a graduate from UW Fox and UW Oshkosh.
Terrific, thank you. Titan times 2.
Were there any other questions from anyone else? Seeing none, thanks for coming tonight, Martin and Jessica. We appreciate your time, and it's always good to hear about what's going on campus.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Okay.
You're welcome. And Director McKinney is here also this evening to give us an update on COVID-19 in Menasha.
Mayor, you can let them know that they don't have to stay for our meeting. A lot of people think they got to stick around. So
I think Jessica already left.
I'm going to listen into COVID because it's always pertinent.
Great.
I'm still here. My dog was barking in the background. My apologies.
Oh, good evening, everybody. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Going to get this up and going here. So I'm going to be rather quick tonight. I know you have a very large agenda, but do want to give you some updates. So first, our numbers for this evening, we have 1,739 laboratory confirmed, 190 probable, and that means people who have symptoms but have not been tested and were close contacts of individuals who were laboratory confirmed, or people who've had an antigen test that's been positive. We have 25 active cases as of today, 1,887 are recovered, and we did do some adjusting on this because previously deaths were included as recovered, but obviously that needed to be changed. We have 7,685 negative, 95 that were ever hospitalized, and 17 fatalities. So our number of cases this 2-week period ending February 9th has gone down significantly. So we have about over a 30% decrease in active cases this last 2-week period. That means that we have gone from the critical level back in September, October, November, down to the very high, and now we're in the high zone. Our case rate in the last 2 weeks has dropped from 382.6 to 262.7 cases per 100,000. So again, you can see the decline. This is very good news. I would expect that as we get more people vaccinated, we'll see lower rates. However, in this critical and very high range for so long, we forget that this is still high. So there is still circulating virus in the community. So therefore, people should continue with their masking, distancing, hand hygiene, and gatherings, limiting gatherings. We do have some good news on the testing. We do have about a 9% positivity rate, and that brought us from the red to the yellow area. The World Health Organization wants us to get below 10%. Harvard and other models want to see people 3% or below, or 5%, excuse me, positive test results. So, you know, we're encouraged by this, but I think part of it might be that we're not doing as much testing as we were. It may be because people are not experiencing symptoms. That might be one reason, but our goal is actually 28 tests per day. So, you know, that might be part of the rationale there. Just giving you a little bit of an idea where we stand for the Menasha Joint School District. We've gone from the critical to the very high to the high, which is right in line with the way the school district is managing their hybrid for the senior and middle school children, and then their in-person for the elementary grades. For the city, again, we're in the high zone. So, you know, in that zone, we can start to look at plans for opening up activities a bit more. So right now it would be that we can look at, according to the state mitigation strategies, an indoor activity could be 10 people or less in a room, or if it's a larger event, 25% capacity. So we'll be looking at plans with the senior center, for example, to be open. But again, we still have circulating virus, so we have to back into this carefully. We do want to let you know there still is available community testing. Theta Care Physicians in Neenah has testing. There's a Theta Care mobile unit at Christ the Rock Church. It comes every Thursday. Sunnyview Expo Center has community testing till March 10th. Reed Golf Course is where the Appleton site was relocated, since there's now vaccination at the Expo Center. So they have testing at Reed Golf Course and UW Oshkosh Culver Family Welcome Center. Our vaccination updates, we want to make sure you know there is a regional, we call it a HERC, Health Emergency Readiness Coalition, that we all belong to, and they play matchmaker with entities that require vaccination and providers. We are providing Menasha residents with the multiple opportunities to obtain vaccinations. We are open for vaccination here at the Menasha City Center in the health department. Next week, we've been approved to have the National Guard come to our location here at the City Center and work alongside of our staff. The registration for that will be out a little later this week, and the reason we have to hold off of it is because we don't know our allocation of vaccine until tomorrow. So if we were to put out registration and overbook, that would be a problem. So we're taking that very carefully and making sure that we are ready to go out for registration and announce that through various media. There is the Fox Cities COVID-19 vaccination clinic, and again, City of Appleton, Menasha, Calumet, Outagamie, Winnebago counties, we all work together on this. Our contribution is really working with the volunteer sector, helping them to find volunteers. There is also the Culver Family Welcome Center and area healthcare systems and pharmacies. Again, we are in phase 1A yet. That is the frontline healthcare personnel, long-term care facilities and residents, EMS, police, fire, and corrections. And I think we've largely managed this very nicely. We were the primary vaccinator for that group. And now, of course, we're working with adults 65 and older and assisting those adults with finding various places to go. In phase 1B, we're going to be focusing on education and childcare. We would be the primary vaccinator for Menasha Joint School District as we are their school healthcare staff. Again, that will be individuals enrolled in Medicaid and long-term care programs, some public-facing essential employees, and you can see that it's utilities, and then non-frontline healthcare personnel, so those people who don't have direct patient care will be in that 1B category, and that will start March 1st. And then the remaining group, phase 1C, they have not worked on putting a timeline together for that at the state level, but we'll be working on that. Again, options, your healthcare provider, healthcare system, local pharmacists, health departments that have vaccinations available, and other community clinics. Our vaccinations, again, we're working with the folks 65 and older. We will be scheduling ongoing vaccination clinics, and we have a full clinic this week. And then we were again approved for next week, and we'll be signing up folks later this week. A future site is UW Fox Cities, and I do want to compliment Martin, who's been a very strong partner. The UW Oshkosh Fox Cities has been at weekly meetings with us since, I believe, August or September, and it has just been really great to get together with them weekly and monitor the COVID-19 situation. And again, we do have variants that are circulating in the United States. Make sure you continue with all of the mitigation strategies that you know so well. And can I take any questions?
I have a question, Mayor.
I couldn't see you until the pictures got bigger. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Director McKinney. My question is something about something that's happening in the news recently. And as we know that people of color have been disproportionately affected by COVID, now there's lots of conversation about vaccine equity. And for Menasha, in particular, that means, are we asking ourselves what we're doing to reach our Spanish-speaking population here in Menasha? So can you address that, please?
Sure, and I think this is a very timely question that you're asking or commenting on. The Department of Health Services recently published data that showed that Black residents have a 2.1 times greater hospitalization rate, that Latino residents have a 1.7 times greater rate of COVID-19, so it is disproportionate. And as a result of that, they have released, in fact, I just got it this afternoon, a request for application. It's a grant program, and they want to encourage communities of color to avail themselves for vaccine. And so what I have done is forwarded that to some of our partners that are eligible to help apply. So that's one thing. And what it allows us to do is to develop promotional materials in appropriate languages, targeted to those groups of individuals that are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, have greater hospitalizations and deaths, and then also have not been vaccinated at the rate that the white population has. So we have in Menasha, to bring it down to our level here, developed a really strong relationship with several partners. You might recall that we worked with faith-based organizations to do community assessment when there was a grant available for that, and we actually were able to do focus groups and really develop some partnerships that I think will serve us in this challenge that we have. We also have translators and interpreters that the Menasha Joint School District has that the Menasha Joint School District has offered to us to assist us, as well as our own Menasha Health Department translator and interpreter who has good connections with the Latino population especially. So I think we are positioned to work on better messaging and communication and assurance and assistance for populations of color and people of Hispanic ethnicity. So I thank you for that question. I think it's important. Things like making sure that we have multiple languages so that people can understand what it is we're trying to do, making sure we overcome barriers that some of the groups might be experiencing as far as transportation, or making sure that people have no fear of coming to the health department to get vaccination. Like the hesitancy is what I'm trying to say. So I think we have a great opportunity now, and I appreciate that question. I think it's very important. About 8% of Menasha is of Hispanic ethnicity. So it is something we really have to take seriously and work together on.
Thank you for that. I'm happy to hear that it's something we're working on. Two things that come to mind are that the library has, I believe, a dedicated person reaching out and building relationships in the Hispanic community. And there's a particular person at the school district as well, the diversity inclusion coordinator.
Yes.
And I know that the school district already has, really good relationships within that community. So anything we can do to help the cause and work towards getting them vaccinated as well, increasing their access and comfort level, I think would be a good step for Menasha.
I agree.
I have one other question, and that comes from your weekly summary. And I couldn't help but note the percentage of cases in the past 2 weeks among the less than 20 age group was 26.1% of laboratory confirmed cases.
I'm going to just share, if I can share my screen again. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can share again. I think I have that slide for you to look at with me. Can you see it okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we did a little digging on that because it was bothersome to us as well. It represents 12 cases, but it's an increase from what we had in the past. And so we'll be looking at this even deeper, but in that 6 to 17-year-old age group, we have 10 cases. So the remaining cases are under the age of 6. And then we have 0 cases in the 18 to 20-year-olds. So, you know, how we we'll have to look at basically what could be the possible causes and try very hard to figure out how we can mitigate that. And obviously we work very closely with all of our partners to take a look at that with us, but we will have to look at the cases also. So it's like teasing out those cases and trying to figure out what the, if there's any connection between them. There's a lot of circulating virus between family members. So there's that. But when we see a rise like you do, we get concerned as well. So we will look into that further, but I did want to share the numbers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor,
Alderman
Nancy,
Severino?
do you have a problem with room at the Menasha City Hall, City Center?
We're scaling up, and as you know, next week we're going to be here with the National Guard. They're sending 1 unit, and we're working alongside them. Our nurses will likely work in our clinic, drawing up the vaccine as well as administering, and then we will be having the National Guard work in our triplex. And with the help of the Menasha Joint School District, we were able to clear that calendar so that we can use that space like we did for the influenza vaccine clinic, and then also look at the parking situation and make sure that that side parking where the public comes in is eased up a little bit. And I have to do a shout out to Superintendent Vanderheiden. He has just been so accommodating for us. So yes, we are very fortunate that we have the space we have, and we are able to realize some efficiencies. And then we have been, we put out the job posting for vaccinators and have received, it just has been up a week, but we've received some responses, so that's going to increase our capacity. Where I think and this is where Vice Chancellor Rudd comes in, he has kindly agreed to look at the possibility of using UW Oshkosh Fox Cities as a site, especially not as now, because we don't have the vaccine, number one. We're not alone. This is a universal problem across the country and the state that people are experiencing vaccine shortages. But we do need to think about scaling up when it becomes a public, the public is able to get vaccinated more fully rather than just these 1As, 1Bs, 1Cs. So I see Vice Chancellor Rudd nodding his head because he knows that, across the counties, we've had the same issue. Proportionally, we're getting a very good share of vaccine. We ordered 100 up for this week, plus we have second dose vaccines that come automatically, and we were allotted the whole dose, a whole request. Other counties have not. They've gotten less than 50%. Some of them have even gotten no vaccine. Some vaccinators have not gotten the request that they have. So I feel very comfortable about how they've been allocating vaccine to us proportionally. I feel like we're actually getting a bit more proportionally than other areas. They do have a formula, and some of that is based on different social economic situations. I'm not sure what that formula is. They haven't shared that, but they do use that in their decision making. So one good thing about ordering up, we have been true to what we have requested, and we have wait lists, and our nurses, because we've gotten the Pfizer vaccine from the get-go, have been able to draw up more doses than we requested. So we get 100 and you get additional doses from that. And we have been able to call up our wait list and get people in. In answer to your question, I think we're doing fine with capacity right now. I'm a little concerned about as time goes on and we ramp things up.
Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Nancy, are we vaccinating Menasha people only with our Menasha clinic? I can't remember.
So we have based our allocations on Menasha residents in Menasha's jurisdiction. And we market to Menasha residents. And so the lion's share is Menasha residents. It may be a little different next week because we have the Wisconsin Army National Guard. That's a federal asset. They're coming in and they're not employees of the city. But I think the lion's share is Menasha residents, and I got to tell you, they have been very grateful, and they are very faithful with their appointments. We don't have no-shows. They're very, very compliant, and our second dose clinics have been running really smoothly. So yes, Menasha residents are very good at coming in and making sure they avail themselves for appointments.
Thank you. So I was going to ask, the city has how many addresses there are in the city. Do you know? Do you have a guess at like how many 65 and older in our community that we have, or don't you have that info?
Well, nope, that's the first thing we did. I pulled up the American Family Survey. It's a part of the US Census and so forth, and looked at the 65 plus age group, and then took, and I don't have it in front of me. I can share it with you if you'd like, but I took 75% because that's about the percentage that opt to take a vaccine. It could be even higher, but we took 75% and then calculated about 50% of those who would go to other systems like their healthcare system or a pharmacy for vaccine. And then the remaining 50%, which was over 1,000, would be coming to us. That's how we calculated it. And then with the help of the mayor, we sat down and did a spreadsheet that basically looked at it from week to week to try to gauge how many we had to do to get through the vaccinations that we needed to. And, you know, even in this ramping up stage that we're in right now, the limitation is the vaccine availability. So if there was some way that we could encourage getting that vaccine ramped up and out there, I think we could do even more, but I think we're right on track with where we need to be.
That's good. When you make the decision on when, say, you're done with 65 and older, you can start doing 64 and below to just say 60 for a number. Do you make that call, or does the CDC make that call?
The CDC has they call it, it's an advisory group for immunization practices. They make the framework for making those decisions because you only have so much vaccine, but you have to figure out who gets the sickest, who dies, right? So that's pretty much how it goes, you know, down from there. You know, the frontline healthcare workers were really at the top of the list because they work with COVID patients, right? And so we need them to be there. And then we've got, of course, 65 plus who are much more vulnerable and get very sick. So they're in that high risk category. And then, so this framework we get from the CDC and their advisory group then goes out to the states. And actually they put it out for public comment as well. And then the state has something they call SDMAC, which is a state advisory group. And it's and they look at it and further from the state's population aspect and further refine out like, okay, what's the timeline? Who can we include? And then they give us that information. So for example, March 1st is when they think we can start, and they've given this a date, we can do that starting 1B, which is the educators. So the educators are next in line, and they have it in rank order because of their exposure to children daily. So it'd be educators and childcare. So that's sort of how it works. But I don't make those decisions. That comes from the state level and the federal level, the CDC.
Oh, okay. I just curious. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for all your hard work that you are doing in this pandemic. So thank you.
That's my pleasure. And like I said, to have a partner like Vice Chancellor Rudd and Chris Vanderheiden, the mayor, all of the people working together, I think it's very, very helpful to Menasha. We have a really good community.
Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate your report, and seeing that we have no other questions, we'll move on to the minutes and communications. Do we have a motion? No?
Should turn on my mic first, sorry.
That helps, yeah, sorry.
Going to the agenda. I don't have a paper sheet here, so I got to flip screen to screen. So Mayor, at this time, I'd like for us to receive minutes A through I and communications J and K.
Second that, Tom Grady.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on any of the items?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I would like to hear from someone from the Plan Commission. You've been criticized heavily for not publishing correctly. So like, okay, Sam, I see you're on there. Could you answer that question? Are you doing it right or not?
Probably not the right place here, Mark, but we can do that at the item that happens, and we can also get you the league's guidance for doing that, and we're following the League of Municipalities guidance.
Yeah.
And we can get you a copy of that as well.
All right.
And I'll have Sam or Pam talk about it when we get to that item.
Hey, Mayor, I also have a written opinion on that. Was issued as a result of the same person.
Sure.
That I put that together.
We can get to that when we get to that item then, Pam. Alderman Rapella?
No, I'm just sorry.
Oh, you're ready to vote. Okay. Anyone else with questions? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item G is public comments on any matter. There's a 5-minute limit. Kimberly is here this evening and hopefully we'll be more successful tonight.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Yay! All right, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Tenorelli, and I'm running for the Branch 2 Circuit Court Judge in Calumet County. Just a little bit about myself, my qualifications. I have 16 years as a prosecutor. I was a domestic violence prosecutor, an assistant district attorney, a deputy district attorney, and a juvenile justice prosecutor. The juvenile justice prosecutor focused on CHIPS and TPR cases, which are children in need of protection and services. And the TPR cases are termination of parental rights cases. Those are extremely difficult cases, very emotional, but one type of case that can be very beneficial to families, but also you feel like it's worth working for those types of cases. After 16 years as a prosecutor doing criminal, juvenile, and traffic cases, I am now currently the Corporation Counsel in Calumet County, and I handle civil cases. So I've handled mental commitments, I handle guardianship and protective placements, child support cases, civil cases affecting Calumet County, and again, I'm handling the CHIPS and TPR cases. Those weren't handled previously by the Corporation Counsel, but because I brought that skill set, they were transferred to our office in 2019, I believe. Both areas, both in the prosecutor role and in the county role, I've worked with committees and groups to develop solutions to challenges. So those included child death investigation and Fond du Lac, the Domestic Violence Task Force, and Outagamie. We created the Child Welfare Collaborating Team here in Calumet County, and I'm on various board committees here at the county. Obviously, all board meetings and then admin services, but also other committees as well here in the county. I believe I'm the most qualified for a couple of reasons that I'll point out. I have overwhelming more case handling experience than my opponent. As of December 31st of last year, I've handled well over 6,000 criminal and civil cases. That excludes juvenile, traffic, and forfeiture cases. My opponent has handled less than a total of 800 cases. If you add my traffic cases and my juvenile cases in, I've handled well over 8,000 to 10,000 cases. My consistent committee and group work will be important for this particular judge because in order to get this judge, any judgeship that was granted or approved by the legislature is required to start a drug court. And so working with committees and groups will be important for this judge because a drug court isn't created by one person. It's created collaboratively by a group of individuals towards a common goal. And so that committee will likely be drawn up of the judge, but also probation and parole, the public defender's office, the prosecutor's office, service providers, human services, and a number of other people coming to the table. So I would have that experience. Honestly, I would not run if I didn't feel I was the most qualified individual. If I felt somebody was more qualified than myself, I would not run. As all of you sitting there know, it's a lot of work and effort to run. So if I thought somebody would do a better job than I wouldn't spend the time and resources to do that. However, I feel I have significantly more subject matter experience, both in the criminal and civil arena. I have significantly more case handling experience. In addition, I have the experience collaborating with others, as I mentioned, but also I feel I will be fair and impartial. As a prosecutor, you have a tremendous amount of responsibility to treat like similarly situated people alike, and I have 16 years experience doing that. A person shouldn't be treated differently because they know someone or because they have more money than someone, or because they know this group or they don't know that group. It should be based on the circumstances, and people in like situations, in like backgrounds, should be treated similarly. And lastly, I'll apply the law as written. I believe I'm more of a strict constitutionalist that way, in that I believe the judges need to follow the text of the statutes or ordinance or constitution. I don't believe a judge's role is creative writing. And so as a judge, I would interpret the law as written, and I wouldn't create my own law to suit my beliefs. The law was written by the legislature, and I need to interpret it and follow it as such. So that's me in a nutshell. I will be out and about in Menasha, so if any of you see me, please say hello. You don't have your masks on, so hopefully I'll recognize you, but if you have your masks on, please point yourself out. And I did, I believe a couple of weeks ago, forwarded information about myself, but that was the week that I had difficulty logging on. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to take any questions now, or you can reach me through my contact information that I handed out through email. I can't hear you, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yep, I just realized that. Sorry. Thank you for coming this evening. We don't take questions and answers in this period, but if you want to give out, do you have contact information, or we could take that if people did want to reach out to you?
Sure, and all of that's on the brochure that I put out last time, but in the chat, I will put my information in as well.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone. Stay warm.
Thanks for coming.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Hello, I know you had a caller, Paul Monk. I will let him speak because I'm usually long-winded.
Yeah.
Unless Paul
I did have to mute you, so I'm not sure if you're caller 1 or caller 2.
Here. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Paul Muck, General Manager at Neenah Menasha Wastewater. The commission asked me to call in just to express our interest. I see you guys may be looking at selling 205 Mathewson Street. If you are, the commission is still interested in purchasing that property. If you wanted to approach us again with an offer, we would consider it. And that's all they asked me to do, to call in. So just express our interest to the council.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. And
if there's no one else, I will speak. Sandra DeVille Taylor, 545 Broad Street. Several items. First, regarding the report from the health department, I would still like to know why we are not using the Menasha Senior Center rather than dislocating members of the school district. The building has been vacant and it's not being used, and it would facilitate and has its own parking lot. So that's just a quick comment on that. I'd also like to know when, at some point, the percentage of people that reside outside the city of Menasha that actually received the vaccine. Then on to other items. Under minutes, I was surprised that as a member of the Holiday Lighting Committee, neither one of our approved minutes appeared in the council packet. I feel that some of the members of the council may be interested in the progress that we've made. Regarding the minutes from landmarks and the proposed amendments to the facade grant program. I'm the one that used the word disconnect. There's a huge disconnect, I feel, between the goal of landmarks and the goal of the council. Landmarks is looking to expand the definition of facade to the front, the side, the back, anything adjacent to a public gathering spot. I suggest all of you closely look at that, and I think it's a huge mistake that they're making. Regarding the minutes from the Park and Rec Board, prior to the current administration, the harbor master's contract always came before the council. Under discussion items number 1, changes were noted that this would be a 2-year agreement allowing for a wage increase of the contract. Per the Personnel Committee, the Personnel Committee shall have jurisdiction over personnel matters, administration of labor contracts, and contract negotiations. and shall review for the council all salary adjustments for non-union personnel. This should be going through the council, in my opinion, and the Board of Public, the Park and Rec Board should not have the authorization to negotiate a contract. Furthermore, on the city website, there is a notice of a position for, let me just check here, Recreation Senior Services Manager with a salary of between $53,000 and $65,000. I'm questioning if that's a new position. If so, that would have to come before the council. It has numerous responsibilities and educational requirements, and it almost sounds like it's a duplication of what was called out for the current Director of Park and Rec. So I'm wondering if we're getting top heavy on our staffing. In regards to the minutes for the Plan Commission meeting and the comments made earlier at the public hearing, ironically, I am the one that submitted to Community Development and the attorney the legal opinion from the League of Municipalities. I suggest you all read it because it spells out state statutes. Furthermore, I will re-emphasize that our current code specifically spells out 7 days. And again, the purpose of a public hearing is to gauge public input prior to a decision being made, whether it's setbacks, whether it's landscaping. Typically, people do not attend unless it affects them personally. You saw that with the apartment complex development out at Lake Park, when numerous residents appeared to voice their opinion. You heard that when you wanted to rezone a portion of Racine Road for an apartment complex, those neighbors came and voiced their opinion. That's the purpose of a public hearing. It's not to rubber stamp something. Then also under communications, there's the IT communication. I'm questioning whether bids were received rather than just going with Heartland. It's a huge amount of dollars, and I believe for that amount, a multiple bids should be received and not just go with the status quo. Regarding the sale of the Taco Street, I'm opposed to it. I see no benefit to the city for the small amount of money that would be obtained. Regarding the sale of Mathewson Street, $2,000 is the, first of all, if you're going to sell Mathewson Street, that would have to go to the park board. You cannot make that decision tonight. Secondly, for the little bit that we would gain, and especially if they tear down the building, you're going to be taxing the vacant lot. In all,
Mrs. Taylor, you are at 5.5 minutes at this point. If you
well,
could
an
finish your
appraisal
comments.
would need to be made on both of these and an offer to repurchase. And I will keep the rest of it later. And also, because you gave the other caller time, I'm curious if the mayor reached out to that caller's opponent and offered them equal time on the council to speak. Thank you.
I'm not sure what that comment was, but is there anyone else who wishes to speak at this
You had a
point?
candidate for circuit court if you invited their opponent to equal time. Thank you.
Oh, we did not invite either of the candidates. She reached out to us. I don't know who caller 2 is, if caller 2 had comments as well. No?
That'd be me.
Who's me?
Yeah. Who? Did you have comments, caller 2? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to have any items separated this evening?
First.
Alderman Nichols, go ahead.
Thank you. Item 2, and 5, 6, and 7.
Alderman Langdon.
Yes, we'll have to take out number 3.
Anything else? Alderman Sevenick.
Mayor, seeing there's only one other, I'm just gonna go through them one by one. So at this time, Mayor, I'd like for us to approve the Common Council minutes of 2/1 of 21.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 7-0. Item 2 is the Board of Public Works. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to accept the relocating of the Baldwin Street fencing and gate with the removal of the 4th Street gate.
Is there a second?
Is that the correct motion? If that's the correct motion.
So there's a motion and a second by Alderman Schmidt. Is there discussion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you. I know that there is some concern from the residents on that street about the gate being removed. That would be 4th Street. And so I just wanted to bring voice to that and hope that we can ask our employees to continue to use the Baldwin Street entrance for their vehicles. In other words, continue with what's been past practice as much as possible to respect the neighborhood and refrain from using our heavy equipment on that street, 4th Street as well.
And that certainly is the plan. Adam, did you want to comment? We did notify the neighborhood. I know I did receive one call. I don't know if Alderman Nichols received any calls as well, or any of the other aldermen.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, just so everyone's aware, we did send out letters to all of the residents on 4th Street, as well as the affected properties on Baldwin, to make them aware of what went before the Board of Public Works, what was approved, and the fact that we were forwarding this to the Common Council meeting tonight for approval. And I believe I spoke with only one family, would be Mr. and Mrs. Quinn. I know that they had talked to the mayor. Other than that, we had not heard from any of the other residents that we contacted.
And just for everyone's information, the main entrance for all of our staff will be on Plank Road near the Redliner. And that would be the entrance and exit that we'd use for our equipment as well. Alderman Grady?
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe this is a question for Adam. I received 3 or 4 calls about this gate opening, and I don't know what the letter read or what it said, but they were more upset with the timing of the letter, being they just got it like Thursday or whatever, and they tried calling you or get a hold of you, and you were off on Friday, and all of a sudden we're voting on this tonight. So again, if there's something that needs to be sent out sooner or whatever we have to do, it just, keep people in the loop. But I think they were happy with what is being done with that street, because I don't think they really read the letter. And I think you detailed out that big heavy equipment is not going down that street. It's still going the other way, but just a heads up for next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Alderman Schmidt?
Yes, I did receive an email and a phone call on it as well. I explained to the person that called me that heavy equipment was not going to be used on that street as well, that they would be using the new entrance down at, by Baldwin. Most of the concerns seem to be that they like having their street be a dead end street. But there was some concern with now the residents using that 4th Street as for hauling their waste, their leaves, their grass clippings, and they're just afraid that the road is going to have a lot of mess in it. So I guess, like I said, the only thing I'd maybe like to put forward to Adam and his group is just to kind of keep an eye on that street, maybe a little closer to make sure that, that doesn't happen. But that was mostly, the concerns was just, it's been that way for 50 plus years. They like it that way type of thing. But I explained that we would not be using the heavy equipment. But like I said, there was just some concern with that their quiet little street was going to change and a lot more traffic was going to be coming down the roads, that type of thing. So just wanted to make that known. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alderman Sevenick?
All I wanted to mention is that the entranceway is called Swiderski. He was our former Public Works Director. And if we have to make that official, I think we should do that at some point. But that, I don't know if it's Swiderski Way or Swiderski.
That does need to be made official if that's what you wish to do. That was something that a former superintendent put up without council approval.
I need to bring an ordinance and I'll do that for the next meeting.
Why don't you do that? It doesn't have to be the next meeting, but if you want to do that, work with Adam to get that done.
Okay, thank you. I mean, who knows? Maybe someday we'll have Adam Alex Way.
Right. Adam Alex Avenue.
The only thing that we do need to consider is that it's not a public access, and that was when we label it with a street name, that does cause some confusion. So just to consider that before we go too far.
Public's going to use it quite a bit.
No.
If they want to, well, all right.
No, you can't get to the drop-off sites from there.
This is for another time.
Yeah, that's fine. Mark, did you have something else?
Nope, just waiting.
Randy? No? Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Aye.
Alderman Rapella? Alderman
He
Rapella?
disappeared.
Aye.
Randy. Okay.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 3 is the water main construction project. Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll make the motion to accept the awarding the 2021 water main reconstruction bid to Donald Hippus and Sons, Inc. in the amount of $959,960.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
To say not everyone all at once. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Aye.
Alderman Rapella?
Aye.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 4 is the recommendations from the Park and Rec Board. Do we have a motion?
Singled out.
Alderman Grady?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make the motion for the reciprocity agreement between the city of Menasha and the village of Fox Crossing for the year 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. It's a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. Ted, was there any discussion? I know you had the reciprocity agreement. Was there any discussion as far as fees that the other outside communities would be paying?
Yeah, that's discussed at our Park and Rec Board meetings, certain things, and if you want to get a hold of, I think Megan's is on, so I'll defer to her. Thank you.
I was just curious what those did those fees go up, or did they stay the same, or how are they set?
The program fees, we look at those typically annually. So as we're preparing for our programs for each season, we'll look at the costs associated with those programs. So as we prepare for our summer programs, we'll look at the costs associated with those programs. I have tentatively looked at them as I prepared the 2021 budget and laid out costs associated with each program, but I'll review those and make sure that those are on point before we move forward with each program.
Megan, one more question, thank you. But so reciprocity, does that mean that does each community have to have the like programs? Like if we have a baseball program, does the Fox Crossing also have to have a baseball program for them to participate in ours versus theirs?
No, it doesn't have to be exact programming. Really, it's just youth and adult programming. I mean, part of it is a benefit of if we don't offer a certain type of program that they can go to another community and get that programming. So sometimes duplication isn't the best. For instance, Fox Crossing has a very strong dance program, and we on the reverse side have more of a gymnastics focused program. So we have participants coming from Fox Crossing taking part in our gymnastics program that they don't offer in Fox Crossing, and vice versa. We'll have participants or community members of Menasha go to Fox Crossing for their dance program. So it isn't necessarily an exact match as far as programs, and then sometimes that's in the best interest of each community.
Is there more people from the city of Menasha going to Fox Crossing, or is Fox Crossing using more of the city programs? Do you have those numbers?
Sure. In the memo that was provided in the packet, it outlines the numbers for 2018, 2019, and 2020. So by far, there are more city residents going to Fox Crossing than Fox Crossing coming to Menasha. Part of it is as we start to grow our department with now more of a focus on recreation with with the newly created recreation supervisor position when I was hired back in May 2019, that has since evolved, is the opportunity for us to grow our recreation side of our program. So I expect that to balance out a little bit more. We'll have less city residents going to Fox Crossing and balance that out. But right now it is more city residents going to Fox Crossing purely because at this point in time they have more offerings.
Okay. One more question, Megan. That position that Sandra DeBille-Taylor had mentioned for the recreation program, is that a new position, or is that your old position, or where did that position come up?
That is not a new position. That is the position that I vacated when I took the director position. So that is us filling that position as we move forward with the rec programming and the senior center. So it's a combination. It's the position that you approved back in, I think it was January of 2020. So it is 2/3 recreation and 1/3 senior center.
Okay, so we approved it for your position, but now do we have an opportunity do we have to approve it again, or once it was in, it's in forever?
Well, nothing has changed about the position. The job description did not change, so it does not need to go back for approval. If we would have changed something about the position, then it would come back to you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no other discussion, if we could have a roll
Sorry,
call.
Mayor, to do that to you. That was in the budget, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the answer. I think there's an opinion on coming from myself, I think probably Randy, that Megan's doing such a good job. Do we need to fill that additional position? I know it makes her job more difficult, but because it is split up, especially with the senior center, it makes more sense to continue it. But
sorry, Council President, point of order.
We're talking about this position.
No, but this is the
point of order.
This is the reciprocity bullet point here. Nothing to do with the new hire for what Megan did. So I think we should stick on top.
You're absolutely correct. I agree with you. I'll bring this up when we discuss this later.
And so seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sedgwick,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 5 is a special use permit. Do we have a motion?
I can make
Alderman
that
Schmidt?
motion. I just want to make sure I have the right one. This is the Anna Street, correct? Because I can't
Yes.
flip back and forth. It's going, my screen's going crazy here. I will make the motion to approve the special use permit for 460 Anna Street and the Lawson Canal parcel 3-005. See, there goes my screen again. As written
I'll
in the
second.
memo because my screen's going crazy.
I'll second that.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Repella?
Oh, sorry. Nope, no, nothing.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. My question is for Director Schrader, and I remember having a phone conversation with you about this special use permit along with the certified survey map, and how the special use permit was outlined for the entire site, yet the survey map delineates 3 lots for the site. So could you explain in simple terms what happened here?
Again, what happened, I guess, is what we're looking at doing is notifying the public that we have a special use permit. So we do that based upon existing boundary lines. So you always go larger because that assumes a larger area, but the special use permit is specific to the project. So again, it is specific to the site plan. It is specific to the building rehabilitation. It does not provide a multifamily blanket statement over the entire property. But what we do there is basically just notice more than what we have because we don't have the CSM to break out the property yet. So again, just for everyone else's knowledge, again, the next item is the certified survey map for the same project. So the existing land area that the RDA owns, per the development agreement and through this process, that is actually breaking out 1 lot or 1 development site out of that overall parcel. So that's kind of what this is doing, is we're notifying larger than what is required because we don't have that exact legal description of that exact parcel. So again, that's why we take both parcels, and that's why you saw that in the map. But it is specific to this project.
And then by having the certified survey map, that narrows it down to the specific site itself, correct?
Yep. So the site plan that was reviewed and approved by the City Plan Commission, again, that was specific to the site that was called out for, I believe it's lot 2 within the certified survey map. So again, that is site specific, it is development specific, but just from a public hearing standpoint, we always notify more than what is needed because again, that provides a larger notice area for additional residents and things of that nature. So we're not notifying less.
So to be clear, because I did have questions on this from community members as well, this certified survey map and the special use permit are specifically tied to the building that's there now that's going to be renovated and nothing else on the property.
The redevelopment site, yes.
Correct. Thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, I think in the future, when we have something to this scale, a project like this, although we do, and we can always go to these landmark meetings, that we should have a presentation given to us on this project to keep not just us, but our community informed of what's happening. These are cool drawings in that. Public don't see them. You know, I would like for in the future, especially maybe even the next meeting, that somehow we showcase this a little better than what we're doing, because then you get questions like from Sandra Taylor, although she has been attending those meetings. I just think it's more informative. It really helps us.
Yeah, what I could likely do, Alderman Sevenick, with that is maybe during the public hearing, I can probably show some of those slides in the future with future projects. Again, there are some slides within the town council packet, and for anybody that is listening from the public side of things, the City Plan Commission agenda and packet is posted, and the full details of that project is listed in there. But again, moving forward, I could certainly.
And thanks for pointing that out. That way, the public, they have that ability if they're really interested. I'm sure Alderman Nichols gets calls for, you know, mainly from people who are more curious of what's happening, and this is a good tool for them. So,
yep,
all right, thanks.
And like you said, we're certainly not trying to rubber stamp anything or move anything through. It's just something, again, we can improve on in the future.
So seeing no other discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Rapella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Do we have a motion for item 6, which is the certified survey map?
I'll make the motion to approve the certified survey map for 460 Annup Street, Bonta 1 Incorporated, as outlined in our packet.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Rapella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon. Alderman Langdon, your mic was up.
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
We have a motion for item 7. Alderman Schmidt.
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve certified survey map for 1245 and 1251 Manitowoc Road, the lot combination as outlined in our packet.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Do you have discussion, Stan?
Yeah, Sam, you want to go over this a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. So this is a certified survey map for 2 properties to basically combine these 2 properties along Manitowoc Road. There's currently one of the lots is a vacant legal non-conforming lot. The other lot is a legal non-conforming lot, but actually has a single family house. Recently, there were 2 different owners. The individual that owns the house purchased the vacant lot. So they are basically recommending that those 2 properties be combined into one. And this also does remove the legal nonconformity from the size standpoint, so also making it more conforming to our zoning code. So with that, staff as well as Planning Commission did recommend approval.
Thank you.
Sam?
Rapella?
Yeah, Sam, where exactly are those 2 lots?
This would be if you were kind of heading up Plank Road past the garage and you took Manitowoc Road past the BP gas station and you kind of head up and it's just kind of right across the street from Meadowview Drive, where Meadowview Drive comes down to meet up with Manitowoc Road.
Yes.
So between I guess Plank Road and Oneida Street. that stretch in there behind the Five Oaks mobile home park.
Okay, understood. Okay, I was trying to find those and it's hard to match up the mailboxes sometimes. All right, thank you very much.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
We have a motion for item 8, the recommendation of the Personnel Committee. Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make the motion for reclassifying the IT help desk / network technician position to the PC / network specialist, and classifying the supervisor of IT support position to the network / administration or system administrator.
It's a mouthful. It's a motion. Motion is second.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Is there any discussion?
You're welcome.
Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item J is action items. The first is the accounts payable and payroll. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of January 29th through February 11th, 2021 in the amount of $7,920,591.06.
I'll second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Did you have discussion, Randy?
No, Don, thank you.
Okay. Any others? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Does it matter if we vote? Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 2 is the beverage operators license applications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the beverage operators license applications for the 2019 through 2021 licensing period as listed under approved in the clerk's memo dated February 11th, 2021.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 3 is the Class B liquor license. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a question before I make the motion, if that's all right with you. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm looking for some clarification because the motion as presented on the agenda is for a Class B liquor license, yet the application in the upper right-hand corner is asking for a Class B beer and Class B wine. No indication of a Class B liquor license. So I want to just be sure that the motion should be for beer.
Yes,
and
that is
wine.
correct. It should just be for beer only.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll move to approve the Class B beer license application for Bare Bones Brewery LLC, doing business as Bare Bones Brewery, Dan Dringoli, agent for the premise, for the remainder, at, well, it's on Main Street, for the remainder of the 2020 through 2021 licensing year.
I'll second that.
So motion and a second. Any other discussion? Did you have more
Mayor?
discussion, Becky?
The application says 226 Main Street, so if that needs to be in
Yes.
the motion, then that should be.
Okay. Alderman Sevenick?
Help me out here. I can't find it. I've been looking here, but they're also saying including the little courtyard there. Shouldn't that be a separate special use application, such as like a beer garden or whatever, for instance, like some of the other locations in Menasha when they have alcohol beverages outside their establishments? This sounds like we're trying to take care of it all in one without them.
If I may, during this time, they will not be using the outdoor garden as you will part of it during the winter months. Renewal is coming up in the coming months, so they will then have to apply if they do wish to use the outdoor portion of their premise for serving alcohol.
Okay, so then they will come in asking for that afterwards then, possibly.
Yes, that will be part of the renewal, but it's not their
Okay.
intention right now during the winter months.
All right, I wanted to make sure we weren't approving this and then saying, you know, that could be done, because to me, I think it's two separate issues. So, all righty, thank you.
Welcome.
Seeing no other discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tedgrady?
Aye.
Alderman Rapella?
Aye.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
So just for everyone's information, they do plan on opening this Friday. So if you have a chance to check it out, they have some very good products. Hopefully they'll be a great part of our downtown. Item 4 is the Landmarks Facade Grant Loan Policy. That should have been in the communications. The Landmarks Commission was reviewing the proposed changes and did not finalize their recommendation. So they will hold any grant or loan requests until such point that the Common Council approves changes. So that one needs no action. Item 5 is disposition of public property. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, can I
Sure.
describe that motion a little bit? Because I know you had noted there was potentially concerns with how that was worded. Just to make sure everybody is on the same page with that. So again, the disposition of public property. This is the property located at the southeast corner of Taco and 3rd Street. I believe back in December, the neighbor at 305 3rd Street, there is an existing single-family house. He had recently purchased that property this fall. Did submit an offer to purchase on that vacant lot. The offer was for $6,500, according to statutes and ordinance. The disposition of public property did have to go through the City Planning Commission. And it was questioned why, I guess, we were not doing a certified survey map. If you can see from the actual map of the property, there is a portion overhanging into city right-of-way. So again, oftentimes when the city owns property, maybe it was just missed, or there wasn't real concerns with it because, again, we own the property. So again, the road was relocated without going through the proper dedication and the proper certified survey map. So originally we had just intended to, within the legal description, to move forward with the sale, excluding public right-of-way, which is done elsewhere, but it really isn't likely the cleanest process. So it was recommended, strongly recommended, and staff does agree from the City Planning Commission that a certified survey map should be presented. This certified survey map would combine those two properties again and then officially dedicate the portion of the property that is within the right-of-way. So what staff is proposing is basically absorbing that cost from the city, from that acquisition cost to pay for that certified survey map. So again, a rough quote for a survey of this caliber to combine these and dedicate the road right away is roughly $1,500. So again, through some sort of earnest money that would be put down by the buyer, or directly contacted or communicated with the buyer to the surveying company to actually move forward with that certified survey map before closing. So again, executing the survey, that would go through City Planning Commission back to Common Council, and then we would execute the closing of that. And there would be a much cleaner legal description that goes along with that. But again, this disposition of public property, we do see from a staffing standpoint many benefits regarding lack or reduction of maintenance costs, sidewalk removals, cutting the grass. There's really no public or park use of this property. So again, we do see that the benefit of that. In addition, I know it was mentioned in public comments regarding the future of this, and I could let Director Alex talk on this if he wishes, but again, the property is likely sufficient from a traffic design standpoint that right turn lane is likely as large as we would need to go there. So again, there likely would be no buyback. But so basically, the recommended motion within the memo kind of states that we would basically work with the buyer to assume the cost of the survey. So again, basically absorbing the survey, so the income coming in would likely be closer to 5,000 versus the 6,500.
Mayor.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Sam. Probably the biggest problem I had with this was that we weren't doing that. And if you look at those lines, that disturbed me. If you look at the photo, the lot, the lot line goes out into the street. So if that could be corrected and that the lot line would be on the right side of the sidewalk heading north, if that makes sense, I would be okay. As long as the sidewalk and the terrace there stay within the city, that I'm okay with that. Is that what the certified survey map would do?
That's exactly what that certified survey map would do. So again, this is the cleanest way to move forward to make sure everybody's on the same page and there's no questions at a later date. So again, we were not ever going to sell that portion of the property. It would have been excluded from the legal description, but the certified survey map is the cleanest way that we can go about that. And so again, staff's recommendation is basically to approve the disposition of public property and direct staff to work with the buyer to bring back that certified survey map with the closing costs of the survey to be paid out of the purchase price.
Okay, Mayor?
Yes.
I'll make that motion then. Seeing that I feel more comfortable than I did previously, because I felt that this is the route we should have taken. Whether the future property owner or ourselves should pay for that $1,500, I guess that's up for debate. But I'll make a motion to approve the deposition of public property being parcel 1-00163-00, and then direct staff to work with the buyer to bring forward a certified survey map prior to closing, with the cost of the certified survey map to be paid out of the purchase price, which is $6,500.
Is there a second?
I'll second it with one correction. It's parcel number 153, not 163.
I have 1-00163-00. Did I say 5?
No, it says 5 on our paperwork here.
So the memo says 6 and the agenda says 5, which is 5. Correct, Sam?
Yeah.
6 would be correct.
6 is correct.
Okay, that's fine. I'll second it.
I
just wanted to make that clarification because of the paperwork.
Sure. Any other discussion? Alderman Grady? No?
No.
Seeing no other discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Aye.
Alderman Rapallo?
Aye.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Director Schrader, would you like to start the discussion on 205 Mathewson too?
Certainly. Just pulling up my agenda again, making sure I'm at the right spot. So 205 Matthewson Street. So again, the city had worked with Winnebago County. This property was basically the property. The building was very run down. It had come up on tax foreclosure. So the city had worked with the Winnebago County to actually acquire this and remove the property, the building from that. I believe total costs in were roughly $15,000. At that time, we were in conversations with, I believe, two individuals, one being the neighbor to the south. They were going to remodel that and then convert it and sell it for a single family house. They kind of backed off and said, no, we'd like to keep it as a rental. So we decided to, or they actually wanted the house to stay and keep it as a rental. So we decided to move on from that. The other party again was Menasha Water Sewage Company Commission, excuse me. We had worked diligently with them for a long period of time, going back and forth. I believe a lot of members on the council were here at that time, and again, just could not come to terms with that. And one of the things that the city does always look for within a deed restriction is that there is going to be a pilot payment if the property ever becomes tax exempt. So again, and that's kind of part of the reason the city did look to acquire this piece abutting the Menasha Water Sewage Commission, is to make sure that because that facility does not pay any taxes and does not pay any pilot, so to start those conversations for future expansion, because any type of expansion is really serving regions outside of the city of Menasha, and that's kind of what we're looking at doing here with coming into this. The other party at that time was Habitat for Humanity. Again, we were working diligently with them, but they also we're kind of going back and forth a little bit with price, and then could not commit to an actual construction date. So the property did sit there for a while. I believe it was maybe roughly a year ago. We had spoken with the potential purchaser in the email today, Mike Tennell, I believe you would pronounce that, regarding an offer to purchase. At that time, he was looking at constructing a new single-family house, was looking at the overall area. He has done this before, constructed single-family houses as infill lots, and he's looking at doing it more to basically create an affordable house on an infill lot. So basically, a lot that had a fire or something of that nature, to reconstruct a house, put that back on the tax roll, and really work with the city in that fashion. So again, the trouble right now is likely twofold. One being COVID, as well as the other being new cost of new construction. So with that, the potential buyer did make an offer to basically, for $2,000, he would like to lease the land for a kind of an urban garden, if you will, for a couple years, and then construct a new single-family house after that fact. So again, he does kind of go through that in his email, kind of explaining that. And again, roughly I would say the house that he's looking at constructing would come out to a sale price between $160,000 to $185,000. So again, probably a little bit nicer than what is in the area, which is also why he's kind of looking at this this lower offer price, because there might be some holding cost to that to sell it, being butted up to the Menasha Sewage Commission and the treatment plant, and those kind of conversations. So again, this is in front of us today regarding the city agricultural purpose of the lot. I have not had an opportunity to speak with the city attorney regarding that, how that would work. I don't know as if our zoning ordinance currently allows that, so we would need to discuss that. But basically, we did want to lay out some options. Again, there's accepting this offer to purchase, bring forward a land purchase agreement, and basically come to certain terms. Through that time, we would have those discussions regarding that urban garden. We could counter the offer to purchase, again, $2,000 for the purchase price. We did purchase it for roughly $15,000, or with the demolition. So that, again, that is less that we have into it. But again, a $150,000 house, you look at our current tax rate, that's bringing in revenue of roughly $1,500 a year once that new house is constructed. So again, we're kind of moving forward with that long-term investment. You know, if we build a 100-year house, you know, long-term, that's where we can really reap the benefits of having a new house construction on this lot. So the other is, you know, continue to discuss with other interested parties. You know, as we have, we could look for an option to purchase or first right of refusal, or we just deny altogether and we direct staff to either continue what we've been doing, looking for individuals that are looking to construct on these new infill lots, or we could even market the site with a realtor. So really the sky's the limit with this. We're looking for some direction from the common council.
Alderman Sevenek.
Thank you, Mayor. What is, let's say someone comes to us today, says, I'd like to buy the lot to build a house. What's the price currently?
Currently, we don't, I don't think we ever established a listing price. We did bring it through.
That's part of the problem right there. Okay, so I don't like this proposal. And I think we need to just continue to market the property and actually have a listing price. So at this time, I make a motion to deny the offer and direct staff to continue as is, or possibly list the site through a realtor.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second. Do you want us to list it through a realtor? I think it would be best to either give Sam direction.
That wasn't my motion.
Well, it says possibly list the site through a realtor. So are you giving him the authority to do it or not?
You can do either or.
Okay.
In my motion. But doing nothing doesn't help. And I want to keep it on the tax rolls. I don't want to see a garden. And then, you know, there's no way all of a sudden something's going to come up and, oh, well, the financing isn't here anymore and this and that. And I just don't want, then we're taking it off the market too for a possible house if that happens. So right now, I mean, list it. If he wants to buy it at the regular price and wants to look into those other things, he can deal with community development, but not for 2,000.
Okay.
Would you like our listing price to be the cost of,
yes.
Basically just start with our cost into it, so purchase and demolition and list it at that? I don't have that number on me, so I do apologize, but we can start there.
Sure. That would be a low price lot in the city.
So Sam, what we would do if this passes then is we bring back a listing agreement, correct?
We could bring back a listing agreement, or we could have the sign shop build a sign and put it out there according to the motion. Either or works, but again, if common council has opinion one way or the other, likely with a realtor, you're going to also be paying 8% commission on that. So any type of sale, you probably pay 8%.
6.
6, right? 7? 6?
Alderman Nichols?
My neighbors had a realtor for 2%.
Thank you, Mayor. A question on that motion. I think as it's been stated that we're directing staff to, or based on what I've just heard, either staff is going to put up a sign with the price on it or list it with a realtor. And I would feel better if we just told staff what we wanted them to do. Do we want them to put a sign out in on the property with the list price like we've done for other properties in the past, or do we want to list it with the realtor?
Mayor, can I address your question?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Nichols, for yielding. The reason I put it this way is because, like what Sam stated, with COVID, with the winter right now, I don't think a lot of people are looking for a lot. So if we could put out a sign or something right now, and then try selling it ourselves, putting it on our city website, and also marketing through community development now, until we find a realtor, because getting a realtor and entering into agreement and then having us approve that in the next few weeks, at least we have that of it instead of nothing being done at this point. And that's why my motion was read the way I did it, with a little thought ahead of time here. Does that help?
That helps me understand your thinking. Thank you for that. Director Schrader, how long would it take to line up a realtor?
They love making money. So again, I'm sure I could bring back a contract probably at the next meeting, I would assume. We would likely, again, within that contract, note any type of conditions. So again, the pilot, purchase price, as is condition, we would note, utilities, and kind of move forward the potential deed restriction if it is ever sold. So several things that we would look at doing there.
And would that be a contract that's for a year, perhaps?
That's probably likely what we would start with, but again, the Common Council can likely say 6 months, 2 years. That is probably up to your direction.
Okay. And if you could bring that back at the next meeting, which is March 1st, I think, my question would then be to Alderman Stefanik, would you still find it necessary to put a sign on the property if an agreement can be brought back to us in 2 weeks?
I'll leave that up to community development.
We can at least.
I do have 2 other stipulations, but I'll wait till Alderman Nichols is done. So.
I'm going to yield to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I also want to make sure that it's not sold to a nonprofit and that it can't be resold that it has to have a single family home built on it and not resold to the Menasha Sewage Commission. I think the council understands those reasons.
Yeah. So is there further discussion, Alderman Nichols?
Yes, the neighboring lots, which I believe are listed as
to the north,
91 and 203, are those both owned by the Sewerage Commission right now or someone else?
I believe they're owned by the Sewage Commission, but if you give me just a minute, I can pull that up. Yes, so those 2 vacant lots to the north, 30058800 and 30058600, both are owned by the Menasha Sewage Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Don't see anyone else.
Mayor, I do have one more thing.
Go ahead.
I think although we had someone appear today from the Menasha Sewage Commission, I wouldn't be 100% opposed to selling it to them as long as they opened it up to a pilot program.
And I believe we had last spoken with them that, again, that they would pay a pilot on the entire facility or just a pilot on the one property.
On everything.
So we can reach back out to them again and let them know the wishes of the council. And it sounds like Sam is going to work with a realtor to get it listed if this motion passes. Oh, anyone else? You can turn that off. I can see you guys better if I don't have the screen showing, but I thought you might like to see what those options were. So seeing no other discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please. Oops, I'm sorry, Ted.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. A little clarification on this. So we're not tabling this. We're still going to vote on the motion from Alderman Sevenick, but aren't we looking for a better direction for our March 1st meeting on this? Or I guess I'm a little confused.
Director Schrader, what would you do if this motion passes?
If this motion passes, basically it's directing staff to get a realtor licensing contract that would be brought forward to the next common council meeting. Within that listing contract, we would list certain conditions that the common council is looking for. So those would be upfront as they're marketing that property, and then we would move forward. So again, it would touch base on listing price, any type of conditions throughout that to be able to move forward.
Does that clarify for everyone? Yeah. Okay, so we'll have a roll call vote then, please.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Aye.
Alderman Rapella?
Aye.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
So Sam, you're up again. Do you want to clarify item 7 before we take a motion?
The full agenda, you guys are getting sick of me. Yes. So within the Common Council packet is a staff memo with an update on the BRIM project, a letter from the actual developers as far as kind of where they're at, touching base. They are very moving forward very diligently in order to get all the ducks in a row. A lot of moving parts with this project, but they are, again, we're having lots of conversations with them, and they are moving forward very, very diligently with that. One of the final things that they are looking to do with this project is one last assignment. And again, the previous assignment was basically assigning it from one developer to another developer. This assignment is a little bit different, where it's actually just basically putting the same developer within a separate LLC. This is a very standard practice within the real estate development world. It makes a little bit easier for single assets, so the BRIM development with multi-ownership for taxing purposes, for income revenues, kind of the financial purposes, because it's all one LLC and one project, so the funds are coming in and out. It was noted earlier, I guess, with the Bonta project, they are looking to do the same thing there. So the redevelopment authority will look at that assignment at their next meeting. So again, going from YBR Properties to Bonta One LLC, as you saw, and it was noted in public comment with the applications for the special use permit. Again, so what they do is make sure that they have each project within a separate LLC moving forward. So again, with that, staff is happy to take any questions as far as the project goes with my memo. Otherwise, we are recommending approval of that assignment for the land purchase and development agreement from as amended from YBR Properties to the BRIM LLC.
Alderman Nichols, did you have a question?
No, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the assignment of the land purchase and development agreement as amended from YBR Properties LLC to the BRIM LLC.
Is there a second?
I'll
I'll second that.
There's a motion in a couple seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we can have a, well,
I think
Sam?
there were 4 seconds. They should be listed. So Sam, I was just wondering if Sam's in his ice shanty there or what.
That's his office.
I wish. That's probably where Adam is. He's got a spear in his hand.
Haley, who did you give the second to?
Alderman Ted Grady?
Okay. So there's a motion and a second by Alderman Grady. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ted
Rent
Grady?
winner, chicken dinner.
Aye.
Alderman Rapella?
Aye.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item M is appointments. There is one. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. I'd like to make the motion for the mayor's appointment of Rachel Dowlings to the Park and Rec Board for the term of February 15th, 2021 to February 15th of 2023.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Randy?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Where do we find these candidates for these for the rec committee and these different committees? I'm just kind of curious. Do people submit an application to the city saying they want to be on any committee, or how does that work? I'm just curious.
There is a portion on the webpage someplace that you can submit an application to join a committee. A lot of times these people reach out to me directly. This person reached out to me wanting to start a neighborhood group in the Hart Park area and kind of center it around the park. And we were talking about how much their children use the park. And this is kind of a special area of emphasis for the park board. They really wanted to emphasize Hart Park. So all the stars kind of aligned, and that's how she ended up on the docket for tonight. But yeah, if someone does have interest, they definitely could submit something to me and I would put them in the file. And when something comes up, I look at those people that are in my file.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Seeing no further discussion, if we could, we don't need a roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item O is public comments. Is there anyone who has public comments?
Hello,
Mrs.
Sandra Deville Taylor, 545 Broad Street. I wanted to comment on the thank you letter to Myron Construction regarding Jefferson Park. I think it would have been appropriate for all members of the council to sign that letter because it does affect all of you, and it's a thank you from all of you. Regarding the purchase, the agreements that you just discussed regarding the sale of the property on Mathewson Street and also the sale of Taco Street. I don't think an appraisal was done on either one of those properties. That should have been part of the work prior to discussion. Also, with the proposed sale of Mathewson Street, I don't believe that went to the Plan Commission. Unlike the property on Taco Street did go through the Plan Commission to see whenever you're selling public property. And I would not rule out the sale to the Menasha Sewerage Commission due to the fact that that is an industrial zone property that requires a 20-foot setback. The last time it was remodeled and enhanced, that did not happen. Additional land creates a larger buffer between the facility and residential properties. And that's what we should be looking at for the quality of life. And also, as Alderman Sevenik stated, requesting a pilot payment from them. Regarding the CSM for the Bonta site, you approved the CSM to Bonta One Inc. Yet the CSM is Bonta One LLC. That needs to be corrected on the minutes. Furthermore, Bonta One LLC is unofficial. There is no documentation that the city has any agreement with them. There is no assignment made. Again, the cart before the horse. And finally, regarding appointments to boards, I suggested this at the last council meeting and the mayor made an appointment tonight. It's beneficial for the entire community to know what vacancies are available, and they should be posted on the site. So if someone knows that the Housing Authority, the Board of Appeals, and these other committees have vacancies, they should be able to submit an application or send an email requesting their interest in that. Thank you. It's also unfortunate that the mayor bypasses people that have been waiting in line.
Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment? Seeing no one else, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Aye.